Alright, so you know what? Let's just jump into it. We're going to be talking today about Mida multi-tool, and more specifically, we're going to actually be talking about metas. Now, a meta is essentially the way to do things or the right things to use. We've all been up against it at one point or another in Destiny 2, so let's just throw it out there. Like I said, the biggest meta is Mida multi-tool. It's easy to get, anyone can use it, and the benefits are super huge when it comes to PvP. If you're not running with a Mida, you're pretty much going to have a bad time. See, metas will always exist. They've been around since Destiny 1. When you have so many weapons in a game, you can't really balance them all perfectly to make each one viable and fair. When one dies, another meta just rises up and takes its place. We saw it in Destiny 1, we'll see it in Destiny 2 once Bungie starts to release weapon balances. That's just a different story. Now, in a world right now where Mida rules the meta, you kind of feel like you have to run it in order to compete. So that's kind of what I'm here for today. I'm here to introduce a new series called Meta Breakers. For this build, you are going to need the Hunter class, Nightstalker subclass, and Way of the Trapper perk tree. Now, this is basically how you're going to want to spec your guy. Pay attention to the weapons, exotics, and stats. Here we have, like I said, the Nightstalker skill tree with the top tree picked. You want Keen Scout, which is really good for enhanced tracker and sprint speed. Snare Bomb, which pings radar and confuses enemies. Vanishing Step is the biggie, which dodges you into camo. And lastly, we have Deadfall, which actually isn't too huge as this isn't based around your super. I run Void Wall Grenade. This is optional, whichever one you want to run, do it. Marksman Dodge is a biggie, which will dodge you into a reload. And then I like Triple Jump. I think it's the best jump, but it's up to you. I would prefer Triple Jump, however. Alright guys, now let's take a look under the hood and see what we are running. In our primary slot, we have the exotic sidearm Rat King. We are not actually running this for a Rat Pack, we are running it for the Vermin perk, which means reloading after a kill turns you camouflage. This is really important to the subclass. Secondly, we have another sidearm, the Last Hope, which is an absolute tank. You can run what you want, but I really recommend it. And lastly, but not least, we have the Mechaniers Trick Sleeves, an exotic hunter arm piece, which increases reload speed and ready uptime for your sidearms. This whole combination goes together really well. Now this is a meta-breaking class because it's high aggression, high speed, and it's really up in your face. A Mida's not going to be able to compete once you close that gap. You can see right there, 2 enemies were taken out in half a second, camoed up with Rat King, switch to the Last Hope, and just like that, 3 down in like 5 seconds. Now, the staple of this class really is going to be dodging the camo. That's what's going to allow you to close the gap on someone like a Mida user. When you're camo, you're not on radar, you're hard to detect, and if you stay in the air, you're going to win a ton of your fights because it's so hard to fight a camoed enemy in the sky. In addition to being off the radar and cool perks like that, aim assist doesn't really affect you when you're camo. Grenades that track aren't going to see you, and on top of that, a Stormcaller super cannot lock onto you. Pretty awesome perk for being camouflage. Let me say this though, this isn't a perfect class. With every build, there's pros and cons. So actually, let's take a look at some of those right now. So for our pros, first and foremost, we have active camo. It's an absolute monster, it keeps you off the radar, and it allows you to close the gap on enemies that may be far away. Secondly, this class is quick and aggressive. You dodge the camo, you sprint at an enemy, you jump in the sky, you rain down on them with your sidearms. It's amazing what it can do. Close quarters combat, nothing really beats 2 sidearms. SMGs are pretty close, but if you're good with your sidearm, you're golden. After that, I mean, you don't have to play as a warlock anymore, you get to be a hunter. That's enough of a pro, really, to play this class, period. Like I said, close quarters, you have a fast time to kill, you can melt an enemy, even if you're alone. A group is going to be a little bit rough, but 1-on-1, 2-on-1, you have a pretty decent chance. And lastly, you can force your camo on kill by using Rat King, and that's just absolutely invaluable when you're in a die-hard situation. And now let's dive into the negatives of this class. First and foremost, it is close range. Not everyone's used to high speed, high aggression gameplay, and they're not going to be able to close the gap that they need when using a class like this. Dual sidearms, it's not very forgiving, but if you can get close, it's very rewarding. Secondly, this class, the super, is not very good. Coming from D1, I loved the Nightstalker, but in D2 it's broken. It doesn't suppress on hit. and for some reason, when you tether an enemy, they don't necessarily get suppressed immediately, which is a pain when you're up against another super. Luckily, you're only using your super once or twice a game, really, so it's not a huge problem. Third, a hunter is mobility based, so you're going to have lower stats. Recovery and resilience, but most of all recovery will be the lowest stat you probably have. And that can be pretty detrimental when you're in a fight. Lastly, this class takes practice. Not everyone uses sidearms, not everyone's good with the kick of a sidearm and all the rapid trigger pulling, but if you get good with it and you can get that practice down, you're going to be a monster with this class. So that's really it. I've given you the pros, I've given you the cons, I've even shown you how to build your class, at least how I build it, which I found to be really effective. Now, I know it's different, I know it might be scary running this, but please give it a try. It is so much better than running a Mida and just sitting in the back of the map and team shouting. That's so boring. I know it's not the meta, but like I said, this is meta breakers for a reason. It takes a little bit of skill, but in the end, this class is so fun. It's an absolute riot in PvP. You'll see so much more improvement in your game just from running this class for a little bit too. So, as always, I'm Barry Hoffel4. Thank you guys for watching. Please leave a like, leave a comment. I read and reply to everything. And if you guys want, a subscription would be nice, but you don't have to. So anyways, have a good one, guys. I will see you next week.